and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Pinsir in the single type cup. We're going to have some test matches here before the cup going to be available later on this evening, as we're going to also later on have a top team video for this cup. So definitely stay tuned for this, leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. But today we're going to take a look at the single type cup and some teams from the opponent, some teams from myself. Here we're going to have here the Pinsir as one of the main Pokemon that I kind of want to showcase for today, because Pinsir is kind of interesting. This Pokemon usually does not really see too much light, as this Pokemon is pretty frail. It's a very weird typing with just being pure bug, and you don't really see bug types at all in the Go Battle League because it's a pretty bad typing and doesn't really have the best moves. But this time around it's actually going to be pretty decent, because if you take a look at P-Poke, the top Pokemon for this meta are mainly Pokemon that have a fighting type coverage, or like BR in general fighting types, which you're going to be able to resist. You're going to be able to resist fighting type moves, while also against those fighters, usually people run something like psychic type Pokemon, and also those you're going to be able to beat with this Pinsir. So, very cool Pokemon. Otherwise, you're going to have here, as our say swap, actually the Runerigas, not the other Pokemon there, not the double. And the Runerigas is one of the strongest Pokemon in this meta. Definitely, you're going to see it also later on in the top team video. Definitely check that one out as well. This Pokemon going to be insanely strong, while it's not even that highly ranked on P-Poke, I think, for this cup. It's going to be one of the best answers for both the fighting as well as the psychic type Pokemon. So here we're going to have a first good win there. As we're going to take a look at the next game, we're going to have a Hypno in the lead, and this is exactly what I mean with Pinsir. Might be pretty decent for this meta, as you're going to be able to do super effective damage here, but also now in comes the Hexerus. We will be able to resist counter, and I'm going to go for one Exeter first. I'm going to swap into my double, which in hindsight was kind of stupid because the opponent of course has counter as a fast move, and I would be able to resist this a little bit easier with my Runerigas, or like with my, not Runerigas, with my just Kaiwei there. But here we're going to at least going to be able to get the final shield of the opponent, and now I can go ahead and go into my Kaiwei here and farm them all the way down. I'm gonna use one shield here most likely just to keep my Pokemon a little bit healthier, but getting energy on this Pokemon is basically an instant win in this current meta. There are barely any dark type Pokemon really that are going to be like viable for this meta. There's only basically Umbreon, and basically yeah, Umbreon is not really the ideal Pokemon to use here, because there are a lot of fighting type Pokemon available. So we only basically have like normal type Pokemon available to counter the Kaiwei there, but even against those Pokemon like the, for example, Vigoroth there, you're going to still have a decent time, because the Vigoroth doesn't really do anything against you and your Dark Pulse is still neutral, so you're going to do some pretty decent damage here. But next game we're going to win as well, and the next game we're going to have a Machamp in the lead. That's going to be a very interesting one as well, as they're going to swap out immediately into the Vigoroth, allowing us to get already a shield advantage, which can be really beneficial here. As you're going to stay in for a little bit, I tried to catch a move, didn't work out, but we're going to be able to go into our Kaiwei, where I'm going to use my shield now as well, because it's clearly a bulldoze. They're not going to bait me here with a body slam, so I'm going to still be able to have a little bit more health here on my Kaiwei, which I know that going to be already able to beat the Machamp. But what we can do here is as well, we can let this move go through, and we now have a move stored, and this bulldoze is not going to do enough damage to even get me close to a range where they can knock me out. And now I can realign, which is going to be very beneficial for me, as you're going to see what they have in the back here. They cannot go into the Machamp, but never mind, they're going to go into the Machamp, allowing me to go for a Shadow Ball right now, getting the final shield of the opponent, and also getting them pretty low. Low enough that they would be in a body slam range, and still low enough that they have to throw a charge move here to knock me out, and they cannot take another one there. Allowing me to go into my Pinsir. They can go for their own charge move, but at this point of time, I can overfarm by quite a bit. In comes the Hexerus, and we don't really care too much about them one. Yeah, Pinsir going through the superpower, easy one-shot. This Pokemon just one-shots everything where it has like some kind of neutral damage with superpower, which is just wild. This Pokemon does a ton of damage, even if it's debuffed like here. It's still going to do a ton of damage there. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to see a Mew in the lead. Again, amazing lead for the Pinsir. We're going to have some reconnection, as you know it from Go Battle League. The best friend of Go Battle League is the reconnection, as you're going to be able to go for one Exeter here and gonna get the first shield from the opponent. Shielding up the next charge move from the opponent, going to be a Dragon Claw, the cheapest move that the Mew can learn, so definitely a smart move to go for this meta. In general, Mew also going to be in the top team video. Definitely a decent Pokemon to play for this meta right now, because it can also beat both Psychic as well as Fighting type Pokemon. But here we're going to now get out the Meganium, where it can go ahead and go for one Shadow Ball, which will put them into range for one Body Slam. This is exactly what I want to have here. I want to go into my double try to knock them out with a body slam, as I can go for another fast move afterwards here. And we should be pretty fine, as this is going to easily knock out the opponent's Meganium, and we can realign our Pokemon afterwards. And hopefully that the shield advantage is going to be enough to win this game here for our Kaiwei. But in comes now the Machamp, where we can still go for a body slam here and do around 60% of the health of the opponent, as he can now swap into the Kaiwei and just farm them all the way down. We don't really care about anything. I'm going to shield this move up just in case it's going to be something like a payback. But yeah, in comes now the Mew. Unless it's a Dark Pulse, you're going to be able to win this game. It's a Psyshock, which you kind of have to have on this meta right now. Psyshock Mew is definitely the way to go. But not for this opponent. There was not a lot that they can do about this. Next opponent here, right now, we're going to see Clefable lead. And that's going to be a tricky one anyway. This time around, it's going to be the Fairy Wind version, which still can be a little bit of a threat against our Kaiwei. Our Kaiwei doesn't have the best IVs either. Definitely need to get a better one, but I didn't get one that was decent in the last Halloween event. I hope that we're gonna get some better ones now for the new Halloween event when that comes around. But right now, we're going to be able to just go ahead, shield up the Moonblast, and we're going to hopefully go for the bait here. No, we're gonna go straight for the Shadow Ball, trying to knock them out. In comes now the shield again. I try to swap out, and I can only go for the Dark Pulse, which doesn't knock them out here, sadly. But gonna get them low. I can swap out here, catch a move on my double. Let's see what they're going to have on the back now. Moonblast going to be pretty easily taken there, but we're going to see now the Lurantis coming in. Now it really depends on what they have in the back here, as the Lurantis is going to take some pretty decent damage from Body Slam. I can actually go for another one here as well, which is going to be very beneficial for me. But I make a crucial mistake here. I should wait out the clock here right now, and I don't. And this is going to lose me the game, because they actually have a Kaiwei in the back, and if I was able to swap out into my own one, I might still have a way better chance to get to a move there, or just in general have any chance at all for this matchup right now. But like this, the opponent going to be able to just go ahead, go for their Dark Pulse, knock me out here, and I have to hope that they're going to try to swap out onto their last remaining Pokemon, but they don't make this mistake. They're going to be able to knock me out here, which is going to be a good game. Next up, now we're going to see the big issue for this team though, and this big issue is going to be Granbull. Granbull is tricky. Granbull is very tricky in general for this current meta. This will be, like, honestly, most likely the most common Pokemon eventually for this meta, because there are not a lot of decent answers for this Pokemon. There are some poison types that are pretty decent, there are some steel types that are pretty decent, but they are kind of rare to be seen, so yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a trickier one. Here, also, this game kind of annoys me, because you're going to see it anyway. I'm going to still actually have a chance of winning this game. I will be able to swap out here. I wanted to swap onto the Focus Blast. It's just a Zap Cannon, which is going to be easily one-shotting me. But I'm going to be able to go for one payback here right now. And I make a mistake. I make a huge mistake here. I should have just went for the payback straight away. I was hoping that the opponent going to shield this move up here, because I thought that it's going to be a payback. But they didn't, and if I went for the payback, even though the lead was horrible, I would have easily won this game. And they even go for the bait here, which doesn't really matter to us, but I would have been able to knock out the Registeel. I would have still enough health to get to 2 body slams against the Granbull, and the Granbull had no chance of getting to another move. So at this point of time, I just threw the game myself, but yeah, against one of the worst possible leads, we still kind of came back with that one. I just played it pretty bad, to be fair. Speaking of playing it pretty bad here, I didn't know really what the return going to do to me, but it's going to do a ton of damage against me. And honestly, what I kind of want to try out maybe is double nuke Dustclops. I think that would be a cool Pokemon to try out for this meta. Like running both the Poltergeist as well as Return. I have my Return one built already. And it would be kind of funny, because you can still basically hit everything in the meta right now. Like Poltergeist hits all the ghosts and also all the fighting types, while Return's still going to hit all the normal types. I think that would be a cool Pokemon to play. But here we're going to see now the opponent going back into the Vigoroth right now, which is going to be okay for us. We can now swap into our Kaiwei, and I think we put them into Dark Pulse range, which is going to be very beneficial for us, of course, as this is an incoming Bulldoze. It's going to do a ton of damage, but Dark Pulse should do basically around the same amount of damage to the opponent. And as you're going to see here right now, they should be basically in farm down range, but I'm still going to go for one Dark Pulse, because I don't want to waste a shield on a Bulldoze. So this Dark Pulse is going to knock them out. In comes now the final Pokemon, most likely from the opponent, which is going to be the Kaiwei. And at this point of time, I feel like great catch by the opponent here. I feel like this game is over, because the catch from the opponent is just going to be a difficult one to deal with. But this is the thing with the Kaiwei, which you see as well for something like the Deoxys defense. This Pokemon has a very low HP stat. means that Fury Cutter, as you can see here right now, while it's resisted, while it's a bad move, it's still going to do a ton of damage because it's a one-turn move. And one-turn move's just going to do so much damage here right now against the opponent that we put them into a range where we can just actually farm them down with our own Kaiwei Chang and still win this game here just because Fury Cutter is so overpowered against it. So this is a cool thing about Pinsir as well. You're actually going to be able to still do some pretty decent damage against something like those Pokemon there, something like the Kaiwei Chang, which is just wild because they're completely getting resisted there. But still going to be fine here. Mew in the lead, Vigoroth coming in. Do they use 2 shields here against us? I don't think so. Nope, they are not using any shields against us, and at this point of time, we're in such a good spot. We're literally on the driving seat here right now, as you're going to see the surf coming through, not going to do too much damage against us, and we can go ahead and go for our own Dark Pulse, forcing either the final shield or letting us see the final Pokemon. It's going to be the final shield for the opponent. I'm not going to let this move go through either, because I think I'm going to be fine with the Pokemon that I still have left. And I kind of want to have a triple sweep here by the Pinsir, but can we do that? Yes, we can do that, as the Machamp is going to come in here right now. Pinsir is just going to town. Pinsir is going to completely destroy the opponent here, as the Mew is going down as well, winning us this game. But of course, we still have our nemesis, which is going to be the Granbull. Granbull, again here, going to be a tough one. This team going to be even a little bit tougher, as I actually lagged like for 1 or 2 turns in the beginning there, where you saw like the reconnection. The opponent was already in the middle of their fast move animation while I wasn't able to swap out yet. But you're going to see here that they're going to use 1 shield and now farm me down. I'm going to go ahead and go into my Pinsir. Yes, I'm going to do a resisted damage, but also my Dustclops is doing resisted damage. But I can at least get a ton of energy here, which might get me some shields later on, depending on what they have in the bag. Hopefully they have something in the bag I can deal with. It's going to be the Electrode. And I went too early for that move here, too late for this move here, because now I'm going to go down from that Pokemon here. And the Electrode can just go ahead and go from Discharge. Going to do a ton of damage. Electrode actually going to be also an interesting Pokemon, by the way, because it's running the move Foul Play, which is going to be very decent against Ghost types as well. So again, a Pokemon that you might want to try out as well for this cup here. But here, we're going to get kind of walled at the end. There's not a lot that we can do here against the Lurantis. We had to try to go up to 2 charge moves, but they can still go for 1 superpower, and this is going to be it for this game. Good game to the opponent. Of course, Granbull is a little bit difficult to deal with. Let's take a look at the final opponent for today. Very strong player as well. A Clefable in the lead. Horrific for us again. We're going to have all the hard counters at the end there. But we're going to be able to swap out into our good friend Kaiwei Chang. And let's see what they're going to try to do here. They're going to go for the Meteor Mash here first, which I saw because they didn't have I don't think they had enough energy for the Moonblast yet. So I let this move go through, which is definitely a good thing for me, because I can now go ahead and go for some Dark Pulse damage. And this Dark Pulse is going to put them into range where I think I might be even able to farm down later on with my Pinsir, as they are forced to throw basically instantly with their boulders here, as I can now swap into my Pinsir, try to farm them all the way down with the Exeter here, and we're going to be able to farm them all the way down here. As in comes most likely the Clefable. I'm going to go for the Superpower first, because this should do a ton of damage, even though it's resisted. Pinsir has an insane attack set, as you can see here already. This didn't look resisted, but in comes now the Dragonair. And this is going to be an interesting one, because Dragonair going to be a very, very strong Pokemon in this meta as well. This Pokemon going to be able to farm down most Pokemon here, because it's a very squishy meta, like the games will not take too long. Which is going to be a good one, of course, for most people. It's going to be a very good meta to play. But as you can see here, I'm kind of forced to let this move go through. And I'm kind of forced to play around with my Pinsir here. I use my charge move immediately here to try to knock them out here. And it's going to be enough, of course. But in comes now the Clefable, and can we go for the Superpower on Tam? Yeah, we can, and this is going to be it for this final game. This is going to be a very good game there, and yeah, this is going to be it for today's video as well. There are going to be 2 videos on screen. Check them out, subscribe, and like if you haven't done that already. And I see you later for the top teams for this meta. See you, bye bye.